What happens when arrogance meets innocence on the streets? Tonight's story will leave you breathless till the very last second. A diamond ring flashed. A crack ripped the air. A pregnant hawker staggered as pain tore straight through her belly. Crowd gasped. Sachets of water scattered. The sun over Lagos didn't blink. Are you mad? The woman in red heels snarled. You touched my car? Please, the hawker whispered, one palm on her cheek, the other cradling her stomach. Auntie, I was only steadying myself. Steadying, the woman's lipstick barely moved. On my baby, your baby. My car. Another slap cocked back. A calm male voice cut the heat. That's enough. Heads turned. A tall man in a crisp pale blue shirt stepped off a black bike and slid his helmet to his hip. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. Presence did the heavy lifting. Who are you? Red Heels scoffed. Do you know who I am? You're Cynthia de Bayo, he said evenly. And you just hit a pregnant woman. The pregnant hawker braced against a bumper. A contraction seized her so hard her knees buckled. Water splashed at her feet, this time not from broken sachets. She's in labor, someone whispered. Performance, Cynthia said, folding her arms. The man's jaw tightened. My name is Emeka Lawson. If you lay one more finger on her, I'll make sure you can't lay a finger on anything you own. Threats, she smirked. Cute. He ignored her. He peeled off his jacket, knelt in dust that had never met a billionaire before, and placed the coat under the hawker's head. Breathe with me. What's your name? Ada, she said, breath-breaking. Please, help me. I've got you, Ada, he turned to the crowd. Who called an ambulance? Silence blinked back at him. People stared at Cynthia's car instead of their phones. Driver, Cynthia snapped. Keep that ambulance away. If anyone films, I'll sue you and your village. A vendor muttered. God sees. Emeka scooped Ada into his arms like it was obvious. Move. Cynthia stepped into his path. You can't carry her, that's my lane. You don't own oxygen, he said softly. Or mercy, he brushed past her, muscles tight as piano wire. The driver of a charcoal sedan swung open a door. They slid Ada in and vanished, engine roaring. Cynthia's phone lit up with a private caller. She answered, breath sweet with anger. Prepare crisis PR and find the girl. Quietly, across the street, a young woman in a yellow hoodie. Tess, an underground vlogger, pressed record. The caption wrote itself. Arrogant woman slaps hawker into labor. Saw beard into labor. Guess who stepped in? Waving hand, quick one. Where are you watching from? Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, Abia, London, Joburg. Drop your city in the comments. I read them. Now back to fire. Hospital corridor. White light. White decisions. Whose family? A nurse asked at reception. I am, Emeka said. Today, they wheeled Ada into maternity. She gripped his hand like a rope on a stormy sea. Cynthia strode in trailing perfume and lawyers. Delete that footage, she told security. It's defamation. This is a hospital. The head nurse replied. We treat the body, not your image. A doctor in green scrubs jogged over. I'm Dr. Chaik. Her vitals are unstable. She's exhausted. We may need an emergency section. Do it, Emeka said. We need consent. Ada nodded, teeth clenched. Save my baby. Papers blurred into signatures. The doors swung, swallowed her. Cynthia's heels clicked. She smiled without apology. You're very dramatic, Mr. Lawson. You tried to stop an ambulance, he said. You don't get to use that word. My father built the wing your conscience is pacing in. My conscience pays the electric bill, he answered. Her eyes narrowed. Careful. I'm engaged to a man who can bankrupt you. Are you? Emeka said, almost amused. Congratulations to him. He's coming, she lied, just to feel taller. A woman with a badge that ended arguments appeared beside them. DSP Manaji. We received multiple reports from the market, she said. Assault on a pregnant woman. Cynthia shrugged. She touched my car. Your hand touched her face, Ifoma said. I'll be taking your statement, call my lawyer. He can spell your name correctly on the charge sheet, Ifoma replied, then turned to Emeka. Sir, we'll also need your account. You'll have it, he said. A midwife pushed through the doors, sweat on her brow. We need a rare antigen unit, she said. Be positive with anti-D profile. Does anyone here have an uncommon marker? Imika reached for his wallet and pulled out a donor card. Rare antigen matched. How lucky, Cynthia murmured. No, Afoma said. How prepared they prepped a transfusion kit. Imika watched a red line thread through a tube and into a life that hadn't yet taken its first breath. Dr. Chaik's voice cut through a burst of alarms. She's crashing. Push now. Imika's fingers dug into the seat. His phone buzzed, a forwarded audio file timestamped 5 minutes earlier. Cynthia's voice, keep the ambulance away. If she wants to act, let her act on the floor. He looked at Cynthia. She didn't blink. The doors flew open. A small, angry cry split the corridor. Ada's voice followed, ragged but stubborn. Is she? A girl, the midwife beamed. 10 fingers, 10 toes, 10 toes. And trouble in the eyes. The corridor exhaled. Cynthia checked her nails. So touching. Now escort me to VIP. I'm exhausted, Ifoma scribbled calmly. Perfect, you'll have energy for booking. Tess slid into a seat across the corridor and whispered to her camera. Part 2 coming. This story didn't even start yet. Don't scroll. What happens next is shocking. And hey, if you're new here, hit subscribe. Stories like this drop every day, morning. The hospital TV played the clip on every channel. Imika carrying Ada, Cynthia scowling like a lawsuit in heels. Hashtags grew legs. Hands are for carrying hash, protect Ada hash. Not your car, your conscience. Cynthia's phone burned. Dad, you embarrassed us. Fix it. She texted a fixer, make market footage disappear. And find the girl's weakness. The fixer replied, weakness located, poverty. Cynthia typed, by her silence, or by her landlord, or by her landlord. Inside recovery, Ada cradled her daughter, sleepy but alive. Imika stood by the window, shoulders finally set down from his ears. Thank you, Ada whispered. I don't have the words. Then use mine, he said. You did the hard part. What's her name, he asked. Ada smiled at the bundle. Chimamanda, God will not fail. The nurse adjusted the drip. Ma, you need rest. Sir, 5 minutes. Cynthia slid in beside Imika, parasol of perfume first. Touching, she said. What will you do with your new charity case? Adopt her. Imika turned to leave. She bit back a laugh. You think I'm scared of your boardroom voice? I'll ruin her in a week. You already tried, he said, holding up his phone. Audio and screenshots. Your fixer shouldn't put his name on threats. Her smile cracked. You bugged me? No, he said. You bugged yourself. You never stopped talking. You never stopped talking. DSP Ifoma appeared like a period at the end of a long sentence. Miss Adebayo, please follow me. Your lawyer can meet us downstairs. My fiancé, Cynthia began. May remain fictional, Ifoma deadpanned. They left. Imika leaned against the wall and finally allowed his knees to feel human again. A cleaner pushed a trolley past, humming. A slim white envelope fell onto a chair as if by accident. Imika glanced at it, then at the cleaner. She looked away with professional interest in the ceiling. He slid the envelope into his pocket and opened it in the empty stairwell. Inside, a ledger photocopy. Ada, antenatal. Anonymous bills covered by Lawson Foundation Emergency Fund. Under it, a faded photo of 2 teenage girls grinning under a mango tree. One was Ada, the other Imika's breath caught. Adiz, his late sister. The one he couldn't save when a drunk driver ran a red light. On the back, a note in Ada's handwriting. Ada, if they scare you, find Imika. He keeps promises. He closed his eyes. Memory tried to make a speech. He allowed a sentence. Back in recovery, Ada slept with Chimamanda curled against her chest. The midwife whispered at the door. She needs a safe place. Her landlord is enthusiastic about money. Handled, Imika said. He called his aide. By her 6 months' rent in a different neighborhood. No publicity. Any landlord who says no loses the roof he stands under. Done, the aide said. The hospital doors slid open. A man in a cream agbada arrived with 4 boys who could lift houses. He wore wealth like a uniform. Chief Adebayo, Cynthia's father. I want that clip removed, he told the administrator. Now. This hospital stands because my cement stands. The administrator nodded politely at nothing. DSP Efoma drifted in with the patience of a woman who has taught many men to count to 10. Chief, the hospital stands because codes are obeyed. Also, your daughter faces an assault charge. You know who I am? Yes, Efoma said, but the law has amnesia when it hears money. Chief's eyes slid to Emeka. Ah, Lawson, your mother greets my wife every Sunday. She'll greet her next Sunday too, Emeka said. After your daughter apologizes, Chief's smile thinned. Apologies are for poor people. No, Emeka said, eyes level. Excuses are. A phone pinged. Tess uploaded part 2. Views leaped. The market outside the hospital began to hum like a hive waking up. Placards appeared from nowhere. Justice for Ada. Cars don't feel pain. Someone powerful was watching. Good. Cynthia left the interview room less smug than she entered. I'll sue the police, she muttered. Get in line, Efoma said, jotting a note. We love letters. By evening, Ada was discharged to a temporary flat under a borrowed sky. Emeka carried the baby bag. Ada carried the baby. The midwife carried instructions that sounded like prayers disguised as schedules. At the door, Ada paused. Sir, Emeka, he corrected softly. Emeka, she repeated. If you hadn't been there. I was there, he said, and I'll be there again. You barely know me. He looked at Chimamanda's tiny fist. My sister did. The lights in the corridor flickered. Somewhere far away, a fixer made a new plan. Memo, quick shout. Tell me your city in the comments so I can greet you next episode. And yes, subscribe. The next turn is sharp. 2 days of quiet. Then the knock that isn't a knock, boots. 4 men muscled into Ada's building with the confidence of salaries paid in cash. The 5th carried a clipboard. Behind them a yellow gown and sunglasses. Cynthia, out, Cynthia said. Ada clutched Chimamanda tighter. I just came back from the hospital. Good, Cynthia said. You can walk. They dragged the cot, the cheap mattress. The pot, the baby bag hit tile and spilled. The bottle cracked. Madame, I beg, a neighbor pleaded. She'd just born. Cynthia's voice sharpened to glass. This is my fiancé's money. He doesn't want her here, Ada blinked. You're what, my fiancé? He paid for this trash, Cynthia sneered. He pays for all his stray animals. Which fiancé? A voice asked from the gate. Every head turned. Emeka stood there with Miller, his head of security beside him, eyes quiet and unfriendly. Cynthia's mouth made a shape it didn't recognize. Emeka, honey, don't, he said. And something in that one word made the 4 men find the line between brave and stupid. You evicted a woman with a newborn, Emeka said. You threw a feeding bottle on the ground. She's sleeping with my fiancé, Cynthia snapped. Which one, Emeka asked softly. Choose one lie. Marry it. People had gathered. Phones were out. The city was in the room. Return her things, Emeka told the men. They hesitated. Miller didn't. They moved. Cynthia's voice went thin. Emeka, listen. No, he said. You listen, Ada is under my protection. You touch her again and your world will get very small very fast. Her eyes flashed. You can't dump me like rubbish. He looked at her like the truth was a mirror. I'm not dumping you. I'm refusing to marry the worst version of you. You promised. I promised myself I would build a life I could respect, he said. This isn't it. The engagement is over. You could hear the neighbors whisper. Film trick no pass, this one? Cynthia laughed once, too sharp. You think you're better than me because the internet clapped? No, he said, because I stood where I should stand. He turned to Ada. Pack what you want. Miller will move you. Tonight, where? She asked, weary and tired. The place where the only loud thing is your baby, he said. Ada's neighbor, Mama Tola, squeezed her shoulder. Go. God followed you here. He can follow you again. They left. Cynthia stood in the scattered things like a queen without a crowd. At his mansion, Emeka led Ada through a back entrance, so the staff didn't turn kindness into theater. The house smelled like polished wood and self-control. You'll stay in the East Wing, he said. 3 rooms, kitchen stocked. If you need a nanny, hark and scream. If you want to be alone, we can do that too. Ada's chin lifted. I don't want to be a burden, he smiled. You're not heavy, you're human. Then let me work, she said. I can cook, clean, anything. You just gave birth, he said. Rest. She looked him straight in the eye. Rest doesn't pay school fees. He almost laughed. Stubborn. Practical, she corrected. Fine, he conceded. You won't be my maid. You'll be my house manager. Temporary. Until you decide your next step. Salary. Benefits. Dignity intact. Big title, she teased. Big work, he said. My cook burns rice like a vendetta. Her smile arrived the way morning does when you've earned it. Days turned into a rhythm. Ada rose before dawn, but slower than hustling used to make her. She arranged the pantry with a logic soldiers would salute. She bullied the generator into behaving. She showed the gardener a trick for pests earned from farm childhood. The staff loved her by Tuesday. Imika found excuses to pass the east wing. Chimamanda discovered his tie and refused to let go. Board calls waited while tiny fingers made priorities. Sir Miller said one evening, "The internet loves you again." Uncomfortable, Imika muttered. Also, Miller added, Cynthia hired a PR butcher. A what? Someone who cuts truth into shapes, Miller said. They're pushing that you're obsessed with the hawker, that you're trying to buy public love. Imika shrugged. Let them. Love is expensive whether you buy it or earn it. At midnight his phone buzzed. Tess. Tip. Cynthia's fixer meeting at Verve Lounge. They planned to relocate the hawker. Attached a grainy photo of men who liked shadows more than streetlights. Wake the car, Imika told Miller quietly. They slipped into the club's back corridor and listened from behind a false wall, while the fixer bragged like a man who'd never met consequences. Take the baby, she'll beg, he said. Or we invite landlords to be aggressive. Record, Imika whispered. Already, Miller said. They walked out like bad news wearing suits. The fixer grinned, then saw Miller's eyes and tripped over his own smirk. You boys, enjoy corners, Miller said. Try a station cell. The corners there teach respect. DSP's IFOMA greeted them in the parking lot with a small nod. I thought you boys might grind meat in there, she said. Thanks for choosing law. Trying, Imika said. She tipped her chin. Keep trying. It's a long city. Back home, Ada stood on the balcony with Chimamanda dozing against her chest. I thought you wouldn't come back, she admitted. He blinked. Why? People like me don't get people like you twice, she said. People like me don't get people like you even once, he answered. Go and sleep, she scolded, smiling for the first time like smiling didn't cost. Midweek, Ada approached Imika's office door and knocked. May I, always, he said. She stepped in with a list. I want to start a small bread delivery. Women in the market told me there's a gap at dawn. I can bake at night, deliver in the morning, while raising a newborn, he asked. I have 2 hands, she said, maybe 3 when she sleeps. He stared, then nodded like surrender. Write a plan. If it makes sense, I'll back you. It will make sense, she said. I don't write nonsense. He laughed, and the room learned a new sound it liked. If you're still with me, hit the like. It helps more people find this story. Quick, tell me your city. I'll shout you out next time. Now things are about to break. Sometimes villains get impatient at 2:17 a.m. A man in a hoodie hopped a fence at the market and poured accelerant between wooden stalls like perfume. A lighter flicked. Flames crawled, then ran. A guard shouted, buckets appeared. Women who had birthed children and businesses formed a line faster than politicians form committees. Smoke turned the moon ugly. Miller's phone rang. By the 3rd ring, Imika was in jeans and fury. They reached the market to find a red line kissing Ada's future. Flour sack stockpiles stacked near a grocery shed. Back that side, a woman yelled. Ring sand, move the gas. Another shouted. Teamwork made sense louder than fire. Cynthia's fixer thought he could vanish into the chaos. He ran. He hit Miller, stopped. Who paid? Ifoma demanded. The fixer laughed, half cough, half fear. A debate. He choked on smoke and something like guilt. Say it properly, Ifoma said. Adebeo, he wheezed. Cynthia's phone rang at home. Unknown number. A hoarse voice. We did it. The market will burn. She stared at her ceiling. For a full 5 seconds, the old version of herself considered the sentence. Then something small, new, inconvenient breathed inside her chest. She hung up. She dialed emergency. "There's a fire," she said. "Send everything." She drove. No heels, no makeup, no entourage. She arrived to a chorus of anger and a wall of heat. "What are you doing here?" a vendor snapped. Cynthia didn't answer. She grabbed a bucket and ran. Ada saw her and froze. "You? I'm not here to talk," Cynthia panted, splashing water. "I'm here to work, your fixer," Ada began. "I know," Cynthia said, throat raw. "He won't be my fixer by sunrise, or your fixer won't be breathing by sunrise," Miller muttered, hauling a hose. Dawn found the market blackened but unbroken. 5 stalls lost, 2 injured, 0 dead. Women cheered tiredly and cursed eloquently. Ifoma cuffed Cynthia's fixer to a lamppost like an ornament. "Tell me everything," she said. "I'll tell a lawyer," he sneered. "You'll tell me," she corrected, holding up a clear bag with a phone already unlocking. He talked. By noon, Emeka had 7 canopy tents erected for vendors who lost shade. He didn't cut a ribbon. He asked for receipts. He paid on the spot. Cynthia found Ada near a charred post. The air between them moved like a cautious animal. "I'm sorry," Cynthia said, words sticky in her mouth. "I don't know how to say it better." "I'm sorry. Sorry isn't a broom," Ada replied, sweeping ash. "But it's a start." "I did call the fire line," Cynthia added, "as if it might count for something." "It does," Ada said, "but you also lit the match by hiring him." Cynthia nodded. "I fired him, and I'll testify against him. Against myself if I have to." "Good," Ada said. "Now carry this." Cynthia carried crates until her manicured hands forgot they were manicured. At noon, Emeka and Ifoma set up a plastic table with a handwritten sign. "Friday help desk, hawkers' rights, rent issues, harassment. Vanessa." Cynthia sat, too, pen ready, the ink turning her fingers blue. A man approached. "A customer broke my eggs and called it tip, name, shop, time," Cynthia said. "We'll send a claim," a woman followed. "Police seized my fish. Ifoma took that one. Bring badge numbers. I'll bring paper." Tess streamed from a respectful distance. Her caption read, "When hands learn new work." By evening, the fixer's confession danced online with 10 million eyes. "Cynthia hired me." Cynthia posted a video. "No filters, no legalese. I was wrong. No excuse would be honest. I'll cooperate with police and pay damages." Comments mixed like stew, some hot, some sweet, some still raw. At home, Emeka leaned on his balcony rail. Ada joined him, Shimamanda heavy with milk sleep against her shoulder. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" she asked. "For not letting the day right you." She laughed softly. "You think I'm soft because I sell bread? I'm a storm when I need to be." "I've noticed," he said. "About your parents," she began, then stopped. "Maybe I shouldn't say it," he said. "They'll fight this," she said. "Me, us. The internet doesn't sit at their table. They'll come around," he said too quickly. "And if they don't..." He looked at her the way a man looks at the truth when it asks for rent. "Then I sit at your table. Bring stew," she said, and the moment eased. "If this story is holding you, drop a like. And tell me your city. I'll pin a few. Make sure you're subscribed. The last part hits hard." Monday made people dress like verdicts. In court, the fixer pled. The judge didn't smile. Terms were set that smelled like time. Cynthia stood, shoulders squared, and admitted what she had paid for. Fines, community service, in order to fund the very market she tried to break. She accepted all of it. Chief Adebeo sat stone-faced in the gallery until the judge asked if he had anything to say. He stood, realized the room didn't belong to him, and sat again. Outside, microphones braided questions. Cynthia repeated 3 sentences on loop. "I was wrong. I'm cooperating. I'm paying. I'm paying." It wasn't poetry, but it was finally not a performance. Back at the mansion, Mrs. Lawson, Emeka's mother, arrived with a hurricane in Geel form. "Where is she?" she demanded. "The woman who turned my son into a social worker." Ada stepped forward steady. "Good afternoon, Ma." Mrs. Lawson's eyes traveled from Ada's headwrap to Chimamanda to Emeka's posture, leaning toward them. She spoke carefully. "They say you bewitched him." Ada didn't flinch. "If cooking and working and telling the truth is bewitching, I accept." "You are older than him?" Mrs. Lawson probed. By a year, Ada said. You have a child. I have many children, Ada said, surprising herself. All the girls at the market call me sister. Mrs. Lawson stared a long time. Then she sighed the way only mothers can sigh, like letting out 2 decades of expectation. I wanted a quiet girl, she admitted. One who would sit and pour tea. I make bread, Ada said. It pairs well with tea. The older woman's mouth did something it hadn't done since the morning. It softened. Bring me one, she said. Ada brought 2. By the second bite, Mrs. Lawson had already told 3 market stories of her own that nobody in the room had ever heard. Night came with tiredness that didn't feel like defeat. Ada tucked Chimamanda in. Emeka checked the locks for the 4th time. Old habits asking if the new day would hold. On the balcony, the city glittered like a lie it was trying to tell less often. Marry me, Emeka said. No speech, no knee. Just a question shaped like home. Ada looked at him a long time. Not because of pity, because of awe, and because when you walk into a room, the noise remembers manners. She laughed, then cried, then laughed again, because crying in happiness feels like a luxury the poor are rarely offered. Yes, she said. He kissed her knuckles, then her forehead. Tomorrow we tell your aunt. My uncles will pretend to have invented romance. They'll try to pick colors, she warned. Let them argue about Gilles, he said. We'll argue about where the cot goes. By the window, she said, so she can see morning first. Weeks spun. Weddings were planned with more love than lace. The market got its shade and its repairs and a small legal desk that stayed open long after the cameras got bored. Cynthia showed up every Friday, sat in plastic like the rest, wrote receipts, paid vendors, and kept her mouth small. People forgave at their own speed, some never would. That too was honest. On a Wednesday, Ada opened Manda's oven on a street that once knew her by the sound of sachets. Women lined up at dawn. Men took extra loaves for the house. Children pointed at the glass and pressed their noses like tiny consultants. The sign read, "Hands are for carrying, not for harming." Someone had added underneath in childish script and for holding. At noon, DSP Vhoma walked in for her usual. 2 sweet, 1 plain. And the paper I asked for. Ada handed her a bag and a folder. You and paper, she teased. You and yeast, Vhoma shot back. We all have callings, Tess filmed from the corner. Not live for once. She put her phone down and just watched Ada knead dough. Some stories don't need commentary, she said to herself. In the evening, Emeka came by in shirt sleeves to wipe down tables because stubborn is contagious. He reached for a rag. Ada slapped his wrist lightly. You'll ruin my brand. Your brand is me, he said. My brand is bread, she said. You're the billboard, he grinned. Then let me stand where you point. Stand there, she said, nodding to the door. He walked to the door and found a woman hovering, ashamed to enter. Old clothes, older worry. Come, Emeka said gently, holding it open. We don't close for tired feet. The woman stepped in. Ada smiled. Sit, tell me what's heavy. The bell above the door rang with the sound small shops make when they mean it. Late that night, Ada sat at the counter, head on Emeka's shoulder. Flour on her cheek like war paint you choose. Do you ever think about that day? He asked quietly. Every time I see a shiny car, she said, unafraid now. And every time I count the day's sales. I think about the mango tree, he said, and the photo, and how promises find their way back when you forget them. She kissed his jaw. We are somebody's promise, Emeka, and somebody's example, he said. She laughed. No pressure, they locked up. The city breathed. Chimamanda snored like a small cat. The house didn't feel empty anywhere. Outside, the poster on the wall fluttered with a passing breeze. Hands are for carrying, not for harming. If you hurt someone in my city, someone powerful is watching. Sometimes the powerful person is all of us. If this story held you, tell me your opinion in the comments so I can shout you out in the next upload. And hit subscribe, because tomorrow we're telling an even wilder one.